In this Lion Vision update presented by CBNS Bank, we're getting a season preview for UNA baseball with UNA head baseball coach Mike Keene. And Coach Keene, the season was postponed last season in March. You've navigated through the off season, through the fall as well. How does it feel to finally be opening up the season this weekend at Mercer?
It seems like it has been a year because it's been a long time since we've been back in the field. Obviously, we were able to get this fall, but getting to the season, getting to spring, and all the challenges that obviously the other sports have already gone through. We're trying to get ready for that, and I think that's one of the challenges is what's all the protocol? What do you have to do? How do you get them doing? We just had that conversation yesterday that we know it's not going to be easy, but how bad do you want to play? How bad do you want to stay together? You're going to have to stay away. You're going to have to be isolated a little bit more. That's just part of it. But like I said, we've been waiting, and I'm excited about getting the season going, and then hopefully it'll go well.
The season opens up this weekend at Mercer. Let's talk schedule just a little bit. 5 SEC teams during the midweek, a full ASUN slate that will be split up into divisions this year. But what do you like most about this season's schedule?
Well, the guy that makes the schedule probably made it pretty complicated, so that would be me. A lot of things changes. That was, even if you went across the board in baseball, there was a stretch, and it's still going on. We're getting email after email because you had this team canceled, like we had Dayton from Ohio canceled earlier. We had to try to fill that one. We had to change it. The midweek changes. This team's canceling, waiting on what the SEC was or wasn't going to do. Then when the SEC kind of came out and said, okay, we're going to do this, they're going to play midweek, then those opened up. They've had a lot of cancellations. So we originally just had two of the SECs on our schedule, which was Vanderbilt and Auburn. Then obviously we had a cancellation, got Ole Miss, had another cancellation, picked up Mississippi State, and I still had one opening, which I'd emailed Alabama earlier during the stretch, and then they got back to me, and I still had exactly that date. So I just think it's good for our program to play them, even though they'll be on the road. It's just good for us where we are. And a lot of times these guys I recruited, I told them we're playing this schedule, and that's why they came here, so they are. So obviously very challenged schedule, and we're opening up, in Macon, Georgia, against a very good Mercer team. They were 13-3 when they got shut down, and I know if you talk to them, they feel really good about their ball club. So, but it isn't anything new. We know it's a challenge, and we know every weekend is going to be another good opponent. We just don't. There's not a bad team on our schedule, and we just have to rise to the occasion. And I think all of us is fight through to who might or might not be there at the time when you play, because there's going to be some challenges to who's on the roster.
Let's jump into the roster and talk about who all came back, sort of what it looks like. Let's start with the pitchers. A season ago, you had some strong veterans. You had some good newcomers as well. Just up and down, what does the pitching staff look like?
Well, I think that's the depth. Again, staying healthy. If you put through, really were the two guys that were being really successful last year, obviously, was Hunter Davidson and Chase Best. So both of them did come back, and I think that was really a nice sign, because if you ended the season, both of them were in the top 10 in either innings pitched or strikeouts. So anchoring those two positions will be key. Obviously, you had a lot of other guys that came back that contributed, and I think right now with bringing in the other younger guys, that's what we're going to try to figure out, who's going to be starting. What it kind of opened up is, all right, we had guys that maybe started, might go to the bullpen. We might have some guys at bullpen, maybe they're going to go to starting. I think that's the challenge, because we do have some young arms that have really performed well in the fall, and we think they're going to contribute well for us this year. So I think that's what we got to try to figure out as we go. Mercer's going to be kind of an experiment. We know Best and we know Davidson will be starting. Who's going to be game 3, we'll figure that out. I did know Austin Nichols, who was around. This was me that I kind of pushed forward. I like what he did this fall. I like him to be the back end of our rotation, so we're probably going to try that the first weekend. I know that's kind of then anything in between is everybody be ready to go at any time, and we'll kind of put them in roles the first weekend and then keep trying to figure it out. But I think with the depth is what we feel good about it. We have options, and I think that's now who's going to perform.
Then you look out in the field, position players, guys like Kevin Brenning, Reed Homan are back. But 1 through 8 out in the field, Coach, what are some of the things you like?
Yeah, I think the getting some of the guys, we have a lot of guys coming back position player-wise. Really kind of the new positions, really we're returning, but we'll be in there as catching. We did have kind of a freshman in Levi Jensen that came in his own the fall, and right now he's got an opportunity to catch a lot for us this year. I don't see anything changing going into that first weekend, along with Landon Langston, who caught for us last year. Now we do have some injuries with Luke Harper's fighting an injury, who was obviously battling for that, but right now he's not up to par and healthy enough to see where he's going to do. So those two are probably going to anchor most of the catching going on. Remember Ben Kiefer from last year caught a lot, and Gerardo the year before. Well, Gerardo's been a mainstay at second base, and we moved Kiefer to first base, so those two kind of been around and went with it. But obviously Holman's back at shortstop, and then obviously with Drew Hudson, he slid over to third base, and those guys are very interchangeable. I think that's what we have to do. We do have some other guys that are kind of injured, but with Harris Kane and Peyton Thomas obviously coming back and played a lot, and another addition is a bat, played first base, but more like DH is Kylan Barnett, transfer that came in, unbelievable numbers out of Lyon College. He's a grad transfer, has tremendous ability to hit the ball. We think he could be a guy that can get us that extra pop in our lineup, maybe hit the 3-run homer. He's got certainly the potential. So that's kind of in the mix. And obviously the outfield is still in continue. You got Brandon obviously is main one there. Then the other positions are kind of battling. Devin Daniel, who played for us, was injured last year, really came back, had a great fall, really is doing well again, probably has a shot to be in left field. And then center field's really been kind of a battle right now. We've had some, with some COVID stuff and situations. Dominic McIntyre has been in and out. He needs to be out there more, but obviously he's going to battle. And then the one that's kind of just really shocked us is works his tail off and has earned it. Is Garrett Smith is really in the mix for starting for us in the outfield right now. And so that was kind of so you got some young guys out there in the mix. So we'll see. It'll change. I think that's one thing I told everyone. You got to be ready at any time because you never know. We already got hit. We had a week off. We had to take 10 days off from a team with no practices, and now we're trying to play catch up. So hopefully we've learned our lesson to not being around groups and do that. But you can see how quickly this could change. So this might be your lineup, but that one weekend that might be a completely different group.
Last thing for you, Coach, as we gear up for the opening of baseball season, what excites you most about this team?
Well, I think I really like the opportunity for the depth of the pitching. I think we got a chance, but I think one of the things that we saw after the fall, if we're all healthy and we get the right guys in there, I've just been really pleased with how much more we've been productive offensively. We've competed more. I think Coach McGregor obviously has done a really good job with I had him kind of handle more of the hitting responsibilities of this and kind of took it, and I think I've seen a much better direction with where consistency. I think that's what I'm hoping what we're going to see, because obviously you look at what we did last year. We just didn't swing the bats very well, very unproductive with runners in scoring position. So I've seen even in the little scrimmages now, we've find ways to get runs and keep competing at the plate. So I'm excited about that. And when you mix in with our speed, and now maybe we got a little bit more power, and then obviously Coach DeChico handling the pitching with that, there's many arms coming back. So if we're healthy and everything's on track, I really feel very good about this group, and I think we have a much better chance to be competitive in most of the games. Obviously, the schedule is challenging, but I think we're going to be right there, and I think we got a chance to win a lot more games.
We're excited for baseball season. Coach Keene, thank you for the time.
You're welcome.